the dark cosmos. Stay cosmic.
Chapter 1. Rapid Descent. I've seen enough hellscapes in my lifetime to make any Marine cry. I've filled entire oceans with blood, both mine and my enemies. But for some reason, it never bothered me. It wasn't the Marine Corps training and conditioning or the combat stims. I've always been able to detach and do what needs to be done. Captain Alex Reaper Mercer is what they call me. I always hated those ridiculous edgy call signs, even as a kid. As for the Corps, it turns out there isn't much mental difference between an angsty teenager and a fully grown Marine with battle experience. Fact is, if you see my face on the battlefield, it's already too late. Look at me, talking like a kid again. My latest assignment? Stop a scientific experiment gone berserk, neutralize the hostiles, save the remaining staff, if possible, destroy, if necessary. Damn scientists. Always playing God. Always sticking their grubby fingers in stuff they had no business in doing. It's a bit hypocritical of me, I know. The Mark 6 plasma rifle I'm shouldering was designed and produced by the same kind of people I'm about to mow down. A twisted joke if I ever heard one. To make matters even funnier, I used to be married to one of them. And she's here, in this installation. It's her experiment I am ordered to put under control. The military dog X is coming to break their former beloved's toys. You always meet your exes at the most inopportune moments, they say. Well, it looks like my number is almost up. Hope I won't have to put a slug in her cranium. The shuttle suddenly banks to the left. Did we hit something? Surface-to-air missiles? Can't be. The outpost has 0 defenses. Well, no time to think about that now. The shuttle is going into a nosedive. Looks like a crash landing. Not the best entrance a girl can ask for, but it beats exploding in midair. The team is strapped in and raring to go. Time to roll the dice and hope for a good outcome. It would suck if we don't get to shoot anyone. One thing bothers me. I feel like I've done this before. Oh, my whole body is aching. Ears are ringing. Fingers are a bit numb. A strong flash of light blinds me. I open my eyes. The shuttle is covered in darkness. The red emergency light is flickering. I can see silhouettes moving. Can't really put my finger on who's who. Rodriguez, you breathing? I called out. Yes, ma'am, she responded as if she was waiting for me to call on her. She is always so fucking overzealous and ready to get orders. Status report, I ask her as I try to untangle the mess of cables that's got me trapped in this seat and probably saved my life for all I know. JD, Smith, and Jennings are KIA. VIP is safe and secure, minus the crapped pants. Mission failed on that front. Kai is good to go. Oh, and I'm fine also. Thanks for asking, she answered. I always loved that nonchalant attitude of hers. If the Corps didn't beat it out of her, it deserves my respect. She is one tough and funny cookie. Has a telescope for an eye. Never seen someone be so precise with anything in their hands. She can hit a fly with a quarter, and I've seen her do it. Best second in command I could ever ask for. Kai is no slouch either. Man has a talent for thinking outside the box. Saw him make a shrapnel bomb with spoons and forks. The results were both frightening and hilarious in equal measure. Everything is a puzzle to him, and he uses whatever he has on hand to solve it. He got us out of many sticky situations. I'm glad I don't have to do this thing alone. The VIP is Dr. Leonard Sinclair. Someone has to translate this science mumbo-jumbo. This man had the lucky draw of being both my ex-wife's colleague and the only other person who understands what is happening with this experiment. Really hate to be in his shoes now. Non-combatants always get the short end of the stick. We have training to deal with stress and trauma. He will have scars for the rest of his minuscule life. I almost feel sorry for him at this point. Stop your grinning and drop your linen, boys and girls. Move out and secure the LZ. We don't have the time to chit-chat. Rodriguez picked up Sinclair like a bag and carried him outside. Me and Kai scanned the room for hostiles. I peeked back at the shuttle. It's out of commission for sure. Pilots are probably dead or unconscious. Either way, no going back now. Point of no return threshold has been breached. We have a job to do. Chapter 2. Abandon all hope. The hangar was a mess. We landed on some people and made a pretty showing of it. Blood and body parts all over the landing zone. Ceiling lights are shot to shit. I have to resort to rifle-mounted lights for now. Something feels wrong under my feet. Feels like a scraped pattern on the metal floor. Can't really make it out. Too much blood, viscera, and debris on the floor. No time for sightseeing, either. Fubar as usual and expected, Captain. Everyone knows we are here. Welcome party should be arriving anytime soon, Rodriguez reports. Let's get moving. No time like the present. Rodriguez takes point. Kai with VIP. I'm in the back. I bark out my orders like I usually do. Nothing fancy or flowery, just succinct orders. Keeps the minds of the team focused. There's screaming and laughing coming from deep within the installation. Someone sure is having a lot of fun, both fun and terrifying. I tell everyone to move out, not wanting to find out what kind of a surprise we are going to get. All right, Sinclair. We need a plan to shut down this experiment. What's our first move? I asked. Step 1 is temporal flux stabilization. We initiate stabilization by activating temporal stabilization nodes. The team has to go through the installation, identifying key locations for activation. Security codes will be input to activate each temporal stabilization node. Be prepared for resistance from the staff and hostile temporal anomalies during the stabilization process. Hostile temporal anomalies? As in the opposite of friendly temporal anomalies? Rodriguez quipped with her usual bullshit. Well, no, but some anomalies can seem benign by comparison, Sergeant Rodriguez. What do you mean benign? Well, it's relative, I guess. Let's say while running, you pass through a temporal anomaly with your legs. A benign anomaly would simply stop you in your tracks. On the other hand, a hostile anomaly would divide your body in half, since your atoms are moving in opposite directions at different speeds. In this scenario, the best case result is a broken fifth lumbar vertebra and severing the spinal column, rendering you paraplegic. A worst case, dissection and death from imminent trauma blood loss. It's quite interesting. You see, that's enough. Keep focus on the job ahead, I interjected, and please leave out the details next time. I have to admit, he did paint a gruesome picture of what is waiting for us in this hellhole. Not looking forward to it, but this is not an everyday battlefield I'm about to tread on. The laws of physics can just decide not to work at one moment. Shrapnel can accelerate or decelerate to a stop. Too many variables to account. Too little prep time. I have to push forward. Emergency lights don't offer much in the way of illumination. The hallway is clear for now. Something is written on the wall. The hallway splits into left and right, seeming like they stretch on forever into the darkness of the installation. I shine a light on the wall to satisfy my curiosity, if only for a little bit. These look like equations. Sinclair, what the hell is this? I asked the good doctor. Well, from what I can tell, Captain, they look like temporal equations, but from a scientific point of view, it's pure gibberish. There is no logic to it, no elegance. Repeating functions, ignored fractions, unsolved variables, ravings of some madman. He seemed more offended than repulsed at the scribblings on the wall, ignoring the fact that most of the supposed equations were either carved in or written in shit, blood, or both. I almost envy Dr. Sinclair for his narrow-mindedness. Looks like the natives are coming to greet us. Bet they will deign to explain it to us. Maybe we can take notes and compare after class, said Rodriguez. We have to go left and follow the hallway, and then go right so we get to the main engineering hub, Dr. Sinclair said in a panic, his voice trembling from sheer panic. Guns up, shoot to kill. Do not stop moving. Chapter 3. Bloody Bedlam. What followed was like nothing I've ever experienced before, but somehow felt familiar. First came the rolling thunder of feet stampeding toward us. I actually got goosebumps. Can't really pick out an exact number of how many hostile entities are barreling towards us. I can hear the scraping of blades and pipes, a barbaric cacophony of sounds joined by maniacal laughter. Excellent terror tactics, which would have worked on us if we didn't know what we were doing, like some wet-behind-the-ears recruits. As soon as they turned the corner, we opened fire. Plasma bolts light up the hallway as they fly to their intended targets. Center mass every single time, no fancy stuff. When supercharged plasma meets a torso, it liquefies it in mere seconds. If the torso was on the small side, and you got lucky, you would get some over-penetration and hit a target behind the first one. I don't invest much faith in luck, so a hit is a hit. Fire and forget, then move on to the next target. Doesn't matter who you are. That plasma slug hits your chest, and your arms and head fall off before the heat burns the entire torso down. No double tap required. They seem like an endless horde of silhouettes. Flashes of emergency lights show their visage only for a very brief second. Half-naked and emaciated, ghoul-like creatures with carvings all over their bodies. Some had no eyes. Some were missing their jaws. All of them are rambling, screaming, laughing, like some undead horde in a video game. And they are fast, surprisingly fast for how much they have been stripped of their humanity. As if their only thought process was to murder. Their only instinct was to get to the closest living thing and kill it as violently as possible. Good thing, too, since these types of psychopaths have zero qualms about running into enemy fire, which makes my job easier. And yet, every corridor is a struggle. Every step forward was earned by a slug fired from us. Disciplined fire volleys and retreating cover fire always thins out the herd. Something doesn't sit right with me. This installation has a reported 150 personnel in it. Our rifles have about 30 slugs per magazine, and we are on our second magazine individually. That means each of us has effectively neutralized 60 targets. Any incidental miss would be eventually made up with overpenetration or explosives. That makes 180 confirmed kills. This installation is the last outpost before the great nothingness of the desert on this godforsaken planet. This planet and base location were chosen specifically because they were out of the way of any major stellar civilian traffic. Where are all these bodies coming from? Doesn't make a lick of sense. We did what the doctor asked, turned on the 3 temporal stabilization nodes. It did very little to slow down whatever the fuck was happening around us. If anything, it made things stranger. Visual distortion started happening and became easily identifiable. The horde dissipated, resistance became manageable, just a few stragglers here and there. Movement was smooth, clearing every corner, securing every blind spot we could find. As we advanced through the station, things became more and more bizarre. Hallways that seemed to stretch and repeat infinitely. No matter how much you walk, it looks and feels the same. Kai figured that one out pretty quick and made a door with some explosives and broke the loop somehow. We found some dark, blood-red streaks in some spots which emitted some sort of human sounds. The closer you got to the anomaly, the more blaring and disgusting the sounds became. I grabbed a skull off the ground and threw it in. It melted into slag before my eyes. It would suck if someone fell into this thing. Managed to save some ammo by luring some of the natives, as Rodriguez calls them, into the anomalies. Meat confetti is how she describes the result that followed. Kai even chuckled. Chapter 4. The Red Angel Cometh. We catch a break with no enemies around us. The team relaxes for a short time. We do an ammo count, get our bearings. I have to ask the good doctor about something. So, Doc, these time glitches we are seeing, I asked, seeking to break the tension.
Mercer, let me clarify. Temporal anomalies aren't mere glitches. They're like ripples in a cosmic pond, distorting reality itself.
So, what you're saying is, we're not dealing with random hiccups in time? I inquired further.
Exactly. Think of time as a delicate fabric, and the experiment tore a hole in it. Now we're navigating through the frayed edges.
And these anomalies we're encountering? I was curious, to say the least.
They're echoes of the experiment's impact. Past, present, and future intertwine within the installation. We might see things that have happened, things happening, and even glimpses of what's to come.
What about those time-looping corridors?
Ah, the loops. Imagine a stretch of time folding onto itself, creating a loop. We step in and events replay, trapping us until we break the cycle.
How did we end up with this mess, Sinclair?
Ambition, Mercer. Our pursuit of understanding unleashed forces we couldn't comprehend. Now, we navigate the consequences of our hubris.
Do you think we can fix it?
That's what we're attempting. Our shutdown plan is a delicate dance between control and chaos. But be cautious. The more we interfere, the more the anomalies and my dear colleagues will resist.
So we're walking a tightrope between order and pandemonium, as I feared.
In essence, Captain, the fabric of time is fragile, and our every step sends ripples through its intricate weave.
What a simplistic and reductionist point of view, my dear colleague.
A familiar voice booms throughout the facility. Dr. Sinclair's face turns pale, and my team and I raise our guns as if we are under an ambush. I know that voice. I'd know it anywhere. I'm sure of it. It's her. But she sounds so malicious. Evelyn? I shouted, afraid of the answer.
Yes, dearest, it's me. Welcome home. I've missed you so much.
That last sentence froze my blood. Chapter 5. Words of Reckoning. Her voice seemed to echo out of every speaker and anomaly. I swear I saw a dead body's jaw move. Could have been a trick of the light, yet I somehow doubt it. There is no way she can do that. Today was the strangest of all days, and this should not surprise me. I saw things I thought were fundamentally impossible.
What do we do now, Captain?
Rodriguez asked with fear and trepidation in her voice, which made me worry. Doc, what's our next step?
We seize control of the quantum field generator for manual manipulation, gradually dissipate quantum fields to counteract destabilization, while monitoring real-time feedback for adjustments.
Quite the plan, I must say. A bit straightforward, but simplicity is key.
She can hear us?
Oh, I see you too, dear. Don't worry. You're doing a splendid job. We need more women like you in the workplace. As a fellow woman, I'm quite proud of you.
Gee, thanks, disembodied voice. Go, girl power. How about you come out of your hidey hole and take a slug in the chest for all womankind? All this time-altering breaks in reality is really gonna destroy all the goodwill we built up over the years. Kinda brings a damp on the whole feminist movement. So, pretty please, with sugar on top, pop that pretty face of yours.
My, a woman after my own head. You will get your chance, dear. Soon, I promise. You core girls really are a treat. So focused, so full of spirit, just like my sweet ex-wife, Alex.
I don't have the impulse to get embarrassed because of all this girly talk. I asked Dr. Sinclair where we should go to shut down the experiment. He showed me the route on a hand-drawn map we made. As we were raring to go and deal with Evelyn, she interjects.
Oh, darlings, no need for such artillery. But I know how you Marines can't let go of your toys. I promise you won't be harassed by anyone. It's not like you left anyone alive either way. Just follow the route my esteemed colleague Dr. Sinclair gives you, and we shall see each other in the quantum field generator hangar. Don't keep me waiting. Toodles!
Oh, that was Dr. Parker's voice. I've never known her to be so jovial.
Also, can I ask something really quick? Just like my sweet ex-wife Alex? Captain, are we here to terminate your ex? Please say yes, because I already want to slug her for 2 minutes of conversation.
I'd rather avoid it, but it looks like it's going to happen at this point. She's not giving us a lot of options. She's going to try to stop us. Move out. Chapter 6. Acta Non Verba. We enter the quantum field generator hangar. The entire floor is riddled in equations, arranged in intricate patterns. Giant towers pulsing with unimaginable power on both sides of the major console. The hangar is full of the carved-up cultists praying to the giant machine. None of them seem to have noticed us. Some of them are too busy carving themselves with their sacred equations. Still haven't figured out how or why there are so many, even though by my count there shouldn't be anyone left in the compound. This looks more like a cultist base rather than a research facility. There are ripples in the fabric space, shining above our heads. They are beautiful in their own kind of way, shimmering with this iridescent glimmer that is completely otherworldly. I almost lost my step looking at it for too long. There she stood, like some sort of a priestess getting ready for the big ritual. Seen enough of these in my day to know what a cult congregation looks like. My Evelyn. Her lab coat is now crimson red and dripping with blood. Her sleeves are rolled up to her elbows, revealing the same crimson carvings on her flesh. They are blistering, pulsing and glowing like embers in the fire. Her beautiful face is all carved up with those damned equations. But her eyes were terrifying before. Now they are unspeakably mad. I can see them from across the room, and it sends a shiver up my spine. She's keeping eye contact with me, and I can't keep up. What the fuck did you find, Evelyn? What made you this way?
Welcome, honored guests. Welcome to our little chapel underneath the stars and ripples of the space-time continuum. I am so glad you could join us for our glorious ascension beyond the fetters of this reality, and to have such close companions with whom I've shared both toil and bed. What providence! Rearing its ugly head one last time before we banish it forever out of existence. Fate. What a miserable concept. Predetermined, but not quantifiable. It can be felt, but can't be observed. Such a cowardly, ugly, rotten, miserable thing. I'm aching to execute it, to wipe the slate clean. The very thought of it stirs me into action. Can you feel its fear? It's intoxicating. Think of it. Would you like to participate in killing a god? She's mad. Stark-raving mad. Dr. Parker, please come to your senses. This isn't you. Sinclair started screaming. You dare to call me mad? What peculiar insolence. Big enough to challenge me, but not large enough to stand in defiance of cruel universal forces like entropy, fate, and even time.
The fabric of time is fragile, and our every step sends ripples through its intricate weave.
Was it not what you said to these loyal Marine Corps dogs? How pitiful. An ant who regards the puddle as an unconquerable ocean can never strive to see the world, let alone the galaxy, in its true scale and magnificence.
cackles Evelyn, fully succumbing to her madness. Chapter 7. Horresco Referens. But before we proceed with the festivities, sacrifices must be made for progress to occur. All of a sudden, she disappeared. Before I can react, I hear gurgling sounds from my left. I turn to see what happened. I see Rodriguez holding her throat, blood pouring profusely from the gaping maw Evelyn made with a scalpel she was hiding in her lab coat. I only caught a glimmer of it as she proceeded to stab Dr. Sinclair's eyes out. I can barely move in time. She is so damn quick. I can barely track her movements. How did she even manage to think that fast? I got my rifle up in time to shoot, and Kai's head was already detached from his neck. Evelyn snatches the rifle with ease from my hands and tosses it aside. I reach for my sidearm. It's already gone. She grabs me by the neck and lifts me like I weigh nothing. She carries me to the main console of the time experiment. Come with me now, my love. Let's go kill a god together. I promise it's gonna be fun. Evelyn laughs hideously with a venomous smile. Now I know equations, functions, and mathematical numbers above the standard number of slugs within a plasma rifle magazine confuse you. So I made things easy for you in a way. This way you have a fighting chance of shutting down the experiment. If you succeed, no harm, no foul, and my experiment perishes. But you make a mistake, and we begin our marvelous journey together outside the chains of reality's fundamental laws. Sounds like a deal, right? Not like you have much of a choice. Who knows? Maybe you can put in the correct sequence and rewind time to the moment you arrived. Maybe you can save your allies if you don't lead them here. Maybe you can travel back even more and stop me from even thinking about this grand gamble of mine. We can have our life back. Time is your oyster. All you have to do is choose. Before me lay the console, a puzzle of buttons, each bearing cryptic symbols. The key to shutting down this temporal nightmare. Evelyn's final enigma. I studied them, an intricate dance of possibilities waiting for a decisive move. I have to think fast. Button 1, the enigma symbol. The labyrinthine symbol beckoned, a testament to Evelyn's attempt to navigate the temporal pathways. It seemed like the logical starting point, the first step in a sequence that might lead to salvation. Yet there was a nagging doubt, a whisper that the true solution lay elsewhere. Button 2, the quantum paradox symbol. Entangled particles promised both chaos and resolution. A calculated risk, a second step in the sequence that might align with the Veil's twisted logic. My gut told me it was part of the correct path, but a lingering hesitation held me back. Button 3, the nexus symbol. The convergence of timelines, the heart of the experiment. This symbolized the final step, the nexus where the fractured threads could intertwine. It felt like the culmination, the logical conclusion to a carefully orchestrated sequence. Yet my mind betrayed me. I couldn't shake the fear that Evelyn had orchestrated this as a trap. The symbols seemed to blur, a mocking dance that clouded my judgment. In a moment of irrational decision, I pressed the nexus symbol first, skipping the enigma and the quantum paradox. The room shuddered, and the temporal energies surged in response. Panic crept in me as the consequences of my impulsive choice became apparent. The console flickered, and a sequence that defied logic unfolded. The nexus symbol, without the proper precursor steps, unleashed a chaotic resonance that reverberated through the installation. Evelyn grabbed my hand in celebration. "That's the correct one, my darling! Congratulations to us both! Now we will dance eternity together, free from entropy, free from fate, free from consequence, free from any god's will. We have our own dimension all to ourselves. Chapter 8. Repetitio est mater dolorum. I can't give up. My pulse races as I tear through the twisted corridors, determined to escape the clutches of time experiment. Maddened scientists lurk around every corner, and reality itself warps in response to my presence. The exit appears within reach, a shimmering light at the end of this nightmarish maze. But just as hope kindles in my chest, a blinding flash erases my surroundings. I find myself back at the console, the symbols mocking my futile attempt at liberation. Evelyn revels in her sadistic game, denying me the solace of freedom as time thrusts me back to the moment where my life took the darkest turn. Desperation fuels my attempt to reach out to a future version of myself, an entity that might possess the wisdom to navigate the Veil's traps. Messages and coordinates litter the installation, each one a plea for guidance. Yet, with cruel irony, the messages lead only to moments within the time loop. The future versions I long to contact remain elusive, their guidance forever out of reach. The Veil delights in thwarting my attempts to break free, rendering my communication with the future a haunting reminder of my perpetual entrapment. Chapter 9. Ad infinitum, ad nauseam, ad insanium. Evelyn dances around me, laughing joyously. I put a slug in her head. She comes back. I rip her arms and legs off. She comes back. I cut her tongue off, and she comes back. Can't stand the laughing. It's driving me insane. I take her head and hide it. She comes back. Everywhere I go, she is there. Can't shake her. No way out of this. I'm not seeing a way out. I always go back to that stupid button. Why didn't I shoot her when I had the chance? Why didn't I nuke this place from orbit? I would have never landed in this mess. Buttons, buttons, buttons. And Evelyn's face grinning from the shadows of each symbol. Enigma, paradox, nexus. They morph into Evelyn's laughter. Her presence a ghostly specter that refuses to be banished. I press, I run, I scream, but she returns. A haunting refrain in the twisted symphony of the loop. In the corridors, Evelyn's silhouette twists and contorts, merging with the shadows. She is the very fabric of the darkness that clings to my mind. Faces become her mask. Voices become her whispers. And the laughter, it echoes with her malicious delight. The time loop, a stage where Evelyn performs a macabre dance. Her laughter the haunting melody that reverberates through my unraveling sanity. Escape is a futile dance, a waltz where Evelyn leads, her silhouette casting a looming shadow over each turn. The buttons, once my tormentors, now bear her face, a grotesque parody that mocks my every move. Enigma, paradox, nexus. Evelyn's namesake, etched into the very core of my delirium. I speak, I beg, I plead for reprieve, but the words are woven into Evelyn's laughter, a mocking response that resonates through the distorted corridors. Communication, once a desperate attempt to bridge the gap, becomes a conduit for Evelyn's malevolent whispers. Faces contort into her likeness, their expressions a sinister mime of her own. The madness, the relentless madness, is Evelyn's creation, a concoction brewed in the cauldron of the Veil's twisted design. I press the buttons, and she returns with a vengeance, her laughter drowning out reason. Time, a treacherous river, carries me back to the moment where Evelyn's influence twists the threads of my unraveling thoughts. Buttons, buttons, buttons. and Evelyn's laughter becomes the pulse that synchronizes with the malevolent heartbeat of time and space. Enigma, paradox, nexus. Evelyn's namesake. Her essence interwoven with the very fabric of the veil's design. I run, I press, I plead. But she returns. An indomitable force that refuses to be exorcised from the corridors of my tormented mind. The buttons, once my keys to madness, are now instruments of Evelyn's torment. And no matter how I dance through the distorted corridors, her laughter echoes. An eternal refrain in the symphony of my perpetual descent into madness. I've seen enough hellscapes in my lifetime to make me cry. I've filled entire oceans with blood, both mine and my enemies. But for some new reason, it bothers me. I enjoy it too much. I've always been able to detach and do what needs to be done. Now I can't detach and simply enjoy myself. Captain Alex Mercer is what they used to call me. Always hated those ridiculous names, even as a mortal. As for the humans, it turns out there isn't much mental difference between me and a fully mad person driven past the point of derangement. Fact is, if you see my face in the installation, it's already too late. Look at me, talking like a human again. Hey, sci-fi horror fans, it's Carrie Drovlik. Thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed this story, make sure to smash that like button. A huge shout out to all our official members. We truly appreciate your support. Craving another scary tale? Click that video on your screen. Until next time, everyone. And remember, stay cosmic.